today I want to take a look at the Packers and their linebacker situation and look at Quay Walker and sort of compare him to how these other linebackers have been playing overall. Because I feel like I've seen a overall sentiment from Packers fans just in the comments and different things like that, that lots of people want to see someone like Eric Wilson play over Quay Walker. And in the past couple of days, I was digging into some numbers and also watching the past couple of games, the game where Eric Wilson filled in when Quay Walker was missing because of his concussion. And then this past week's game when Quay Walker came in and mainly played the middle linebacker position against the Detroit Lions. And I think when you look at early in the season, their first few games, especially the first game against the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't think Quay Walker was playing very good. He was missing a lot of tackles, wasn't really filling the running lanes very well, sort of getting pushed around a lot. But I do think he's looked a little bit better recently. And watching the Detroit Lions game, there was one play where they had a big gain. I think it was a Jahmyr Gibbs run. A lineman really pushed him out of the way. It wasn't a great play. But honestly, outside of that play, I thought he played a really, really good game, especially when it came to defending the run, filling holes, getting around blockers. I think he looked much better this past game than he had earlier in the season. And when you look at some of these stats here, which I'll say here for some of the different Packers linebackers, Quay has been a better tackler than every other Packers linebacker. If you look at missed tackle percentage per PFF, Quay has the best or the lowest missed tackle percentage among Packers linebackers at 8.6%. Eric Wilson is at 13.9%. Edgerrin Cooper, 15%. Isaiah McDuffie, 16.1%. So Quay Walker has missed tackles at a much lower rate than any other Packers linebacker. And then if you look at stop percentage on run plays, and stops is defined by PFF as tackles that constitute a failure for the offense, Edgerrin Cooper actually has the highest stop percentage at 7.6%. Quay Walker is next at 6.9%. Eric Wilson, 5.7%. And Isaiah McDuffie, 3.6%. And so Quay has been better than Eric Wilson in a couple of those areas. The one area where I think Eric Wilson has been better, he's been slightly better in coverage. If you look at passer rating allowed, Eric Wilson, 83.8. Quay, 96.1. Edgerrin Cooper, 101. McDuffie, 117.6. And he's also been slightly better in reception percentage allowed. Eric Wilson, 69.2%. Edgerrin Cooper, 75%. Quay Walker, 77.1%. And then Isaiah McDuffie, 78.8%. And these are a ton of numbers, but I think it gives a good view of the Packers and their linebacker play. I do think in the one game, a few games ago, Eric Wilson went off, had 3 pressures, 2 sacks. I think he also had a forced fumble in that game when Quay went down. When the Packers were playing the Houston Texans. He had a massive game that day, and I think he did play pretty solid when Quay Walker was out. But I don't really see a massive gap, at least in the past few weeks, between the play of Eric Wilson and Quay Walker. And I think there's a reason that Jeff Hafley continues to put Quay Walker out there as a main middle linebacker. He did it after coming back from injury. He right away went back to playing the middle linebacker position. And so I think the Packers like Quay Walker the most among the linebackers, at least at middle linebacker. I think Edgerrin Cooper could eventually, I think he actually probably will eventually become the best Packers linebacker. I think it just, with him being a rookie and learning things, I think that he's going to take some time to develop, but I think he's the most explosive Packers linebacker. And the point is for me that I just don't see a massive gap between Eric Wilson and Quay Walker. I think that they have both been pretty solid the past couple games. And if you look at rushing yards allowed, because I was curious looking back at the Jaguars game when Quay was out, Eric Wilson playing middle linebacker, the Packers allowed 4 yards a carry. Against the Lions this past week with Quay Walker back, the Packers allowed 3.9 yards per carry. So pretty similar numbers there with Quay versus Eric Wilson. And the Lions were a much better overall rushing attack with their offensive line and the running backs, the offensive line they have there. And so I do think Quay Walker's played a lot better football recently. I don't think he's been as bad as he was earlier in the season, and we'll keep an eye on it the next few weeks. But I just don't think that Quay Walker deserves quite as much of the negativity that he's gotten recently. I just think he's been playing pretty solid football, at least this past week. And we'll sort of see what happens going forward. I do think that, when you look at the Packers and their linebackers snap counts, the one person who's sort of gone down a lot has been Isaiah McDuffie. Early in the season, Eric Wilson wasn't playing many snaps. Isaiah McDuffie was. But in recent weeks, Eric Wilson's snaps have gone way up, and Isaiah McDuffie's snaps have gone down. And if we look at this past game, the Packers did play a lot of 3 linebacker sets with the Jaguars, playing a lot of heavier personnel. In week 9 with Quay back, we still had Eric Wilson playing 42 snaps. Quay had 57. And then Isaiah McDuffie had 19 snaps. Edgerrin Cooper had 38 snaps. So it looks like in the Packers' minds, it's Quay, then Eric Wilson, then Edgerrin Cooper, and then Isaiah McDuffie. And so I think the Packers have been fine at linebacker, and we'll sort of see what happens moving forward. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.